So today I kind of wanted to talk about the Michigan Senate race, right?
Yeah.
And specifically the Michigan Senate race as this sort of microcosm for ads in the current political economy. And I swear to God, every single ad that I've been seeing from both Mike Rogers and Alyssa Slotkin that isn't about abortion, big topic in Michigan,
Yeah.
has been either focused on immigration or uses immigrants as some sort of sticking point of an attack,
Wait,
right?
both of them?
Both of them. Yeah, literally. That's why it's been crazy because every Alyssa Slotkin ad is something like, "Hi, I'm Alyssa Slotkin. I did 2 years in Afghanistan with the CIA, and that I am also
I
the
hate her.
most anti-immigrant representative. I've personally sponsored bills that would completely shut down the southern border." And then on the sort of flip side of the ad spend, on the other side of the aisle, if you will, you have Mike Rogers. Almost every single Mike Rogers ad that I've seen is either Alyssa Slotkin is a radical open border illegal immigrant lover, or my personal favorite, Alyssa Slotkin is bad on the economy. Why? Because as a representative, she voted to give lazy radical illegals free housing, free money, free jobs, and free healthcare, and that's not what Michigan needs.
Dog.
It's it's like 75% of the ads that I see from both of them. It's
I I
absolutely ridiculous.
I cannot stand that this entire election, from top to bottom, from top of the ticket
Yeah.
all the way down to
Yeah.
local elections, is defined by fucking immigration. What are we
It's
doing?
insane. And it's even crazier here in Michigan,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know if that's just been my ad experience because I live in like a red county and maybe
Right.
ads are targeted differently. I don't even know if that's how that works, right? But above all that, yes, Michigan is a border state, but that's the wrong border.
Mhm.
That is not the
A few
I,
months
I
ago,
can't stand it,
a,
man.
a few months ago, I was seeing this Alyssa Slotkin. No, it was an attack ad on Alyssa Slotkin, probably from Mike Rogers, and it said
Yeah.
Alyssa Slotkin gave Larry Nasser a stimulus check.
Yes. Yes. I see that one all the time.
That's so
It's the
goddamn
most
funny.
bottom of the barrel bullshit.
That's so goddamn funny.
I think I saw another one that was talking about how during the pandemic, Alyssa Slotkin signed on so that a motel in Florida could get bailed out, and it's like you're talking about PPP loans.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Oh my god, I can't stand it, bro.
The Larry Nasser one is so funny though, because that only works for Michigan. Like that's a
Mhm.
Michigan specific thing. That's so funny. They're like, yeah, she voted to give everybody stimulus checks, and I gotta vote for her. It's upsetting.
Exactly. Yeah, I have to. It just so happened to also land in front of Larry Nasser. It's not like we can craft statewide legislation or
Yeah.
even national legislation that's like everybody except this guy, except this one
Yeah.
guy. That's fundamentally ridiculous, man.
It's like Mike Rogers, if he was there, he would have voted to give them stimulus checks too. Everybody was voting for
Exactly.
that.
Oh,
At least the first
yeah,
round.
oh
At least the first round. It's
my,
bad.
absurd.
It's bad.
It's absurd. And I also I can't stand how like just political ads in general talk to you like you're a fucking child. I get why they do it because the median voter, like we've said many times, that's a hellish place to be. But every single ad is just Mike Rogers says Alyssa Slotkin is bad.
Mm-hmm. And like
Crazy.
since the debate, I've been getting one for Kamala Harris where it's like the quote where she's like, Donald Trump would institute what's effectively a national sales tax. And it's this very scary, like booming audio.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got like, scary red text and like torn out newspapers, headlines and shit like that. And it's like, okay, you're doing this for the sales tax, but it's like, he's literally being Hitler right now. You don't got to do this for that. I guess they message tested that one and that's like the best option. But like, I don't know. It feels like there's better quotes to go with.
And it's just the melodrama of these things is just cranked up to
Yeah.
a million.
It's bad.
I swear to God.
Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. Hito's in a bad way this week. Hito,
Yeah, but
Hito-
that's all right.
Hito had an astronomically bad week. For those of you watching the video, you can see we are virtual, and I checked.
Yes.
This time last year is when we did our first ever virtual episode. Now we're doing another
really?
virtual episode. I think that time you might have had COVID, or maybe I was sick.
No,
I can't remember.
that time my girlfriend had COVID and we lived together, obviously.
right.
But this time I also had COVID.
Yep.
What a crazy world we live in.
Gage had COVID, and of course, as I revealed on our Discord presidential debate event. I broke my goddamn elbow. Had surgery on Wednesday. I won't get into the gory details, but it's been rough. And so this week we are virtual, hoping next week we can get back into the studio. But for now, we're coming at you via a Discord call. So
exactly,
there's news to get through.
We have to get through it, and we had to be here. We've never missed a week.
Never.
And we won't ever miss a week.
I'm saying it was a weird feeling not recording an episode last week. That's like the first time in 3 years that I've not talked about politics on the podcast. That's crazy.
Yeah, literally, that is insane, and it was a weird experience recording a solo pod. I woefully underestimated how awkward it was going to be just yapping into nothing.
There's no one to joke with. There's no one to bounce off.
Exactly, just for like an hour, just talking. I was like, oh my god.
But this week we're back to a semi-normal state. We've got both of us on the pod this week, and like I said, hopefully next week we can be back in the studio where we belong, making use of our tax-deductible office space. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, 100%. I need to get back in the spin room. There's stories that need to be spun.
But before we get into the episode, as always, we're gonna go through our 5-star reviews. We'll remind you all to check out the Patreon. We can't let you guys get away, even though this episode's weird. We can't let you guys get away without being reminded to go become a patron if you want early access and early updates on everything that we're doing. So that's in the description. Of course, you can get 15% off your Ground News subscription using our code that's in the description. But as I said, 5-star reviews, we got to talk about them. Do we have any this week? I'm looking. I don't know which ones you read.
This week we have two. The first one on Monday from, let me zoom in so I can read this, from Relatable Song Quotes, vehemently condemning Hamas. And I can't read the rest of the title because podcast has cut it off. I'm so sorry.
Vehemently condemning Hamas from Central Indiana.
Amazing, right? And the text of the review, because we love looking at text on this show. Hello, my name is Jesse, and I'm a self-proclaimed HITO head, currently going through the backlog from your lovely southern neighborhood state, Indiana. As you can imagine, being a 25-year-old leftist in the state is overwhelmingly hard. So finding you gents just a state away with such amazing takes and massive condemnations for Hamas and all other acts of political violence was such a breath of fresh air. I was a Wednesday weenie for roughly a week, and now a Sunday supremacist just in time for the news cycle update. Love you boys. Keep spreading the good word. P.S. I wrote this review before last week's episode, but forgot to hit send.
That's how they get you.
Really.
That's how they get you.
That is how they get you.
Now, this next one is from another Midwesterner. Subject line, Midwest Liberal. They say, actually, it's from Bella MB, Midwest Liberal. After all the begging, I thought it was finally time to give my HITO boys some love. First and foremost, I condemn Hamas and all political violence. Like most people, I found the HITO boys through TikTok and knew I had to get into it. I've been listening for well over a year now and have completed my entire backlog of episodes. You guys never fail to keep me informed in a fun and witty manner. Since I now have a stable income, and with this presidential election upcoming, I know I had to finally upgrade from a Wednesday weenie to a Sunday supremacist. Can't wait to see what you boys have in store. And look, we've got a lot in store. Store. This minor setback for the podcast this past week will not stop us from
we'll be back in a big way.
Yeah. Of course, this week on this episode, we got to talk about the debate. Lots happened at the debate. Trump is basically being Hitler at this point. We got a potential sneak peek at maybe 2 October surprises, I guess you could call them. One of them is much more interpersonal for Donald Trump, and the other one's a potential government shutdown. And then, of course, we got geopolitical news to end off the pod this week. But also, our presidential debate coverage kind of got sidelined when we were going to live stream this past week. But we do have the vice presidential debate coming up in October 1st, I believe. And that's
right around the corner, really.
That's a Tuesday in a couple of weeks. So keep your eye out for that information. Keep your eye out.
We will be there. I know we told you we'd be there last time, and we still were, just on Discord. It was a change of plans, not a cancellation of plans. But there's no way that one of us breaks an arm and then another one of us gets COVID on the same week again.
That's just and I listened back to some of it because it's on YouTube now if you all want to go watch it. The audio for some of that is fucking terrible. I didn't realize I sounded so bad. So I immediately went and purchased this mic stand that you all can see. 'Cause
Nice.
I can't hold something and scroll right now because I got the use of one arm. So I went and purchased a mic stand just so we didn't have to hear my AirPod audio this week because that was horrible.
Yeah, and last week I didn't even think to set up the mic that I had with me just because of COVID brain. I just couldn't do it.
Do you ever think, I want to buy my way into heaven?
Always.
I want to buy my way into the good graces of the people that I'm listening to in my ears right now.
That's right.
You can do that if you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. And not only will you be supporting the show, not only will you get early access to all of the content that we produce, but you'll also get an ad-free experience on the Patreon every Sunday, every time we release an episode.
You'll be able to pull up to the sermon on Sunday, on the Lord's Day, to hear the gospel as it's spoken.
Yeah, no more being late, no more interruptions mid-episode if you're listening to this ad right now.
Exactly.
It's on patreon.com/headintheofficepod. It's one of the best ways to support the show. It's one of the longest enduring ways to support the show.
Help buy a pass from all the sins you've committed. Start coming to church.
Yeah.
And we can get things going.
Yeah, that's only if you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. It's in the description. It's there for you.
All right, let's get into the news then. Starting off with debate coverage. So last week, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris had their first debate, and maybe only presidential debate.
That is such sad news to hear.
Right.
It better not be. The voters deserve more.
Seems like Trump might be backing out of this second debate. I think he was at a rally in Pennsylvania or Arizona, I can't remember which state, and he was basically saying, like, we did 2 debates, we won both of them, I'm not doing another. So kind of rough.
That's loser talk. Loser talk right there.
But anyways, we did get at least one debate. Maybe we'll get another still, but we did get one. It was hosted in Pennsylvania last week, lasted about 90 minutes, included 2 different breaks, and had pretty similar rules to the first one with Donald Trump and Joe Biden. But unlike the Biden debate, I would say without question, Kamala Harris probably won this one.
Absolutely.
It was a decisive victory.
Trump damn near had Biden moments. Like, it wasn't the same type of brain rot that Biden had, but it was adjacent to. Like, he's floundering, he's fumbling, he was on the back foot, he couldn't take command of any of these questions. It's just not a good performance. He's an old man. I don't think we should be putting him out there.
After the debate, I saw somebody say that Trump absorbs his opponents in previous debates. And he really was showcasing how much he absorbed Joe Biden, because Trump was out there, like you said, having Joe Biden moments. Like his brain was Joe Biden's brain. There was one point, and we'll talk about like the Haitian immigrant thing, where he was arguing about that with the moderator, and he said, "Well, I saw it on television." You can't.
That's just like Joe Biden. That is just like, I woke up and I saw it on Morning Joe.
You can't say that and get away with it, dog. Like it's just not gonna happen. It doesn't work like that. We'll go through the particularly unhinged moments in a few, but kind of as we alluded to, it feels like Trump bit on basically every bait he was offered. I don't think he had really any good moments, except for maybe the end where it was a little bit more apparent that that's what was prepped when he was saying, you know, she wasn't democratically elected, and she's been a flip-flopper and she hasn't done anything for the last 3 years. Like that seems like that's what the prepped stuff was.
He couldn't even nail her on the flip-flopper thing. He tried like a little bit to try to get her on it, but his ego got in the way. He could not let her slide when she tried to bait him into a question, and everything came back to they're eating cats and dogs. Yeah. Literally, everything came back to that.
Yeah, it was after like 30 minutes into the debate, every time he answered, it was, this country is going to hell because Kamala Harris has let 25 million illegal immigrants into the country.
And then we got the absolute banger of, they're letting illegals into our prisons to give them gender transition surgery.
That was a banger. That was a certified banger. And I found out later that he was actually pulling from something he remembered. Like, it wasn't just fabricated entirely. He was referencing a questionnaire that every Democratic candidate in the 2020 presidential primary filled out. It was a questionnaire that basically said, one of the questions was, do you think illegal immigrants in prison should get like the gender affirming care that they need? And Kamala Harris marked yes on that question in 2019.
Of course.
And now he's bringing that up like she's done anything to make that happen.
And he didn't even try to associate her with it. He just said it's happening. Like, sure, if you want to bring that up as a point to say, look how radical she is. She wants to do this. No, he just said it's happening. Come on, man.
Yeah. And
Come
just
on.
to bring it up out of nowhere too. You didn't even like say, you know, in 2019 you filled out a questionnaire that said this. It was just illegal aliens in prison getting transgender surgery.
This is what's happening. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
You and I can't stop it unless I'm president.
So as we said, Trump is basically already committed to not having another debate with Kamala Harris, although it's unclear if he's just using that to negotiate. Maybe he's going to say, I'm not going to do it now, but later on he might be like, I'll only do it if it's on Fox News, or, you know, maybe he's trying to, because he also backed out of this one and then eventually came to it anyway. So we'll see what happens. I think if the polls go poorly enough for him, he'll feel compelled.
He also eventually came back into what was supposed to be the third debate in 2020. After the first one, he backed out. They both did separate town halls because I think they wouldn't let him on stage with COVID or something like that. And he said, I'm not doing this. We're doing the town halls. And he didn't want to do a third debate, but I think he caved and eventually did it. So I could see the same kind of situation happening where they kind of go both ways, do a town hall, and then come together for one last debate. But I don't know if we get all three.
I want one more, like October 20th.
I do
something
too.
Like that. I want one more.
I need one more debate at the very least.
So from The Guardian, quote, a CNN flash poll found that debate viewers felt by a margin of 63 to 37 that Harris turned in a better performance on stage in Philadelphia. So pretty decisively, it's not just us saying it, but it seems like other people feel as though she won as well. Because part of it is like, yeah, I form my own opinions based on what I see happen in the debate, but I think so much of it is defined by how other people feel about the debate, because debate only matters insofar as people think it matters. But it seems like people thought that he lost, so maybe that'll make him feel like he has to do it again. I don't know.
And it's like, how do you walk away not feeling like this guy lost? You know what I mean? Such an outlandishly bad performance. If Joe Biden hadn't debated him in June, I would say this was the worst debate performance ever.
Joe Biden's was worse, but this was the second place. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Now I think we should get into what everyone's really here for, and that's just the unhinged crazy moments. And there was plenty.
Oh yeah,
there was plenty.
Oh yes.
Now the big one, and I will probably talk about this for a while because it's pretty evil, bad, terrible, and it's what you all expect. So about 30 minutes into the debate, Trump started rambling about immigration. Of course, this is a big thing in his campaign, but he landed on a story that's been repeated by J.D. Vance, where it's incorrectly claimed that Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, have been eating cats and dogs. Now, if that sounds on its face insane to you, yes,
abducting their neighbors' cats and dogs and eating them.
If that on its face sounds crazy, you're on the right track. The story's false. City officials, police officers, the police department has said it's false. There's no evidence that Haitian immigrants are eating animals en masse in this Ohio town. It's purely a form of dehumanization, right? And the person that started the rumor, I think, contacted NBC or ABC or some news organization and basically said, like, I regret starting that rumor. I didn't think it was going to lead to, like, basically a pogrom against Haitian immigrants in our town.
It has been interesting to see. And a lot of people point to, like, these various, like, Springfield town halls as this just concrete evidence, as if you can't go to a town hall and literally say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, but people can lie at those things. If there's not like a police report for something like this, if there is no actual other way to corroborate these stories, I don't think we should be pushing them this hard.
The only piece of evidence that I've seen like J.D. Vance or Christopher Rufo or like Charlie Kirk offer is a video from like 2019 where there's like a cat-looking animal roasting, but it's a chicken.
It's from Indiana. It's not even. I saw that video on Twitter. The Declaration of Memes posted it. It's from Indiana, and I think it's like a lamb.
Yeah, it's not even a cat or a dog or whatever. They're just like they're making it up completely. It's crazy.
Absurd.
So the story is false. The person who initially started the rumor has already apologized and said that they were wrong for doing it, basically. But Republicans have basically taken this story and run with it because they can use it, even though it's completely fabricated, as an example of why we need to deport 20 million people, right? It's pure dehumanization to motivate their political program. But what I have found interesting is J.D. Vance's role in all of this. J.D. Vance has basically been the front man for this entire conspiracy theory. And it's I feel like with this whole conspiracy, JD Vance has been playing more of a role in the campaign than I've ever seen him play. Like, he's on interview after interview, like, arguing in favor of this, and then at one point
to defend himself,
he's getting pressed by Dana Bash, and he was like, well, if I have to make up stories to pull in attention, then I'm gonna do that. And it's like, well, he's kind of gave it away. Anyways,
yeah, the fucking Republican accountability pack that's been making all of these ads that are just like, I used to be a Trump voter, 2-time Trump voter, now I'm voting for Kamala. They're gonna have a field day with that shit.
Yeah,
have a field day.
Well, and the other thing is, like you mentioned, they'll show like a video of like a town hall where there's like 3 white people saying like all these Haitian immigrants are taking our cats and dogs and shit. And I've also been seeing a similar kind of video where it's just like a front-facing camera video of some person that claims to live in Springfield, Ohio, where they're like, yeah, this is happening. And it's like, Ohio voter. Ohio voter.
Yeah.
So so the story is false. It is, however, true, though, that Springfield, Ohio is home to at least some group of Haitian immigrants. The AP reports that some 15,000 immigrants in total have come to Springfield, Ohio over the last few years. That's 15,000 in total, not just from Haiti. And they've been actually, as one would expect, partially responsible for the town's revitalization. I have a quote here from the AP. It says, quote, Springfield, about 45 minutes from the state capital of Columbus, suffered a steep decline in its manufacturing sector towards the end of the last century, and its population shrank as a result. But its downtown has been revitalized in recent years as more Haitians arrived and helped meet rising demand for labor as the economy emerged from the pandemic. Officials say Haitians now account for 15% of the population. So there you go.
Interesting. Sounds like a economic boon, if you will.
Purely helpful. And people pointed that out to JD Vance, and he said something along the lines of like, well, you can't just dump 20 million illegal immigrants on a town and expect them to do well. And it's like, well, economically seems like they're doing a lot better. So
no, literally. And it's crazy because I saw JD Vance went on this like crazy rant on Twitter. Bro dropped an essay on the timeline specifically about this sort of situation. And originally I wanted to read it all, but it is so fucking long.
It's long.
That shit is not happening. I'm not reading all that, but I did. And I'll summarize it for you. Basically, he was kind of on the back foot when it comes to everybody knows that he's lying about the Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs story. And his defense was to just cry bully about it and say, well, you know, maybe that's not going. So everybody is engaging in just this systemic calling of Springfield, Ohioans racist when they're not racist. Is it racist to point out that home prices have gone up? Is it racist to point out that ESL resources are being overrun? It's like, JD, you don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
And no one is calling Springfield, Ohio racist because maybe their home prices have gone up or maybe rent prices have gone up as a result of, I don't know, a supply shock for housing with an influx of immigrants. No one is saying it's racist to say that. But it is racist to just lie about them, to get out there and say they're eating your cats and dogs, to get out there and say that they're doing voodoo with your animal bones. Yeah. Like, that's not what's going on.
Yeah. Nobody's calling somebody racist for getting upset that rent is too high. It is racist to blame it on Haitian immigrants, though. Like, that's the racist. And, like, I'm sorry. You'll have to forgive me if I just don't believe that JD Vance cares about a lack of, like, Creole translators. I just don't think he cares.
Literally. And that's the one that gets me the most, because I've seen a lot of conservatives get on here and talk about like, well, isn't lack of ESL resources bad? Yes, it is, but you don't give a shit about that. You are saying this cynically. If you actually cared about it, you would advocate to, I don't know, increase these resources. This is a group of people that have come to your community, been an economic boon for your community, very clearly and demonstrably made things better economically. Yeah, we could use some of that excess money collected in a way and redistribute it to ESL resources. That's how you properly handle something like that. But nobody like JD Vance is going to suggest that. They only want to bring up problems and then propose fake solutions.
Yeah, and that was my next point is like, of course, there can be growing pains associated with immigration. You know, there can be strains on hospital systems or public services or whatever. But of course, first of all, that's not the fault of the immigrants. That's like it's a government issue. It's a supply issue. The government needs to step in and make the difference there. But also, it seems in Springfield and elsewhere, the immigrants are contributing pretty greatly to the success of the community. Blaming them for anything is silly. It's silly and racist. Yeah, it's bad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it, oh, man.
Now, everyone's been laughing at Trump for him saying the whole Haitians are eating cats in Springfield thing, and it is objectively funny, but I feel like
Yeah.
an underappreciated aspect of this story is that the Haitian immigrants that he's talking about are here legally. He's not talking about illegal immigrants. And that's not to say that like his normal demonization of illegal immigrants is therefore acceptable, but I just feel like we should note that the rhetoric here has become more violent, more belligerent, but also just attacks a broader range of people. The Haitians that are in Springfield, Ohio have been there for years, and they're here legally on whatever visas or permits or whatever it may be. And again, like I said, it's objectively funny. People should be laughing at it. Laughing at fascists is a good idea. But this is the type of rhetoric from Trump and J.D. Vance and conservatives that lead to mass violence against marginalized groups. Like, this is the shit that starts pogroms, and it's something to be concerned about and taken seriously.
Especially because they're still being framed as if they are illegal. Even if they don't say explicitly, like, these Haitian illegal immigrants are coming, they're being talked about the same way that they talk about illegal immigration. They're being brought up in the same conversations where they bring up illegal immigration. And it's very interesting to note that, yes, they are legal. Conservatives love to say they are always for increasing paths to legal citizenship. It is only the illegal ones that are getting here the wrong way, and that's the ones we need to take care of. When these Haitian immigrants are here, I'm pretty sure because years ago they were granted protected status to immigrate here because of all the bad things that were going on in Haiti. Like, they are can't get more illegal than that.
Yeah, and Springfield was chosen, among others, as one place where Haitian immigrants could go because of job opportunities and the need for labor. And like, yes, there's an argument you could make, like, okay, these people are just being pushed there because there's a labor need there and they're probably not getting paid as much as they should be. Like, sure, like, I'm going to advocate for their rights as workers as much as I'd advocate for anybody else's. But it's, first of all, not the case that it's 20,000 people dumped on this town in Ohio, like, within the past few months. And two, they're legal immigrants. Like, they are here with full protections under the law, and to act like they aren't and to incite fear against them is how like violent pogroms begin. And that's something that needs to be taken seriously, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, I hate to be that guy, but it is partially how Nazis dehumanize Jewish people, right? They would fabricate or just cherry pick certain crimes and then label it as like Jewish criminality or use it as evidence of like a broader plot to harm the nation, or maybe more relevant to like American history. Like, this is how lynch mobs often begin, right? You point to one person in a group and then suddenly everybody in that group is suspect. It's something that needs to be taken seriously. And I think, you know, maybe this is my youth showing, but this feels a lot more violent and aggressive than Trump's previous rhetoric. Like, he's always, I went back and watched some 2016 debate clips with Hillary Clinton. He's always been on this shit, like, we need to build the wall, we need to deport them, we need to get them out of here. But it feels distinctly more violent now. I don't know if that's a product of me being younger and more politically conscious now than I was before, but it feels more aggressive.
No, I definitely agree, because even up until 2020, the worst that it ever got was MS-13 gang members are coming across the border. It's the people coming across the border are MS-13 gang members and whatever. And that's different. It's not, look at this community of brown people that are here right now that are doing nothing and just lying on their names. You know what I mean? There's like conscious steps away from just claiming that they're all violent, I guess. And that's still bad. But that was 2020. So I think it has gotten worse. I think he is a lot more deranged or a lot less disciplined in his messaging about the thing. And, you know, that comes with age.
Yeah. Well,
it comes with why he's too damn old to run.
And it feels a lot more unhinged and maybe a little bit more worrying because he's got all these people around him like J.D. Vance and, you know, the thousands of others that will staff his administrative state that are a lot more dedicated to the grind than they were before. So maybe that's also part of the issue.
It seems like his base is much more deranged, especially considering his base coming off the heels of Obama's second term. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like racism was healed after Obama, but people were a lot less like loud about it. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I think it's gotten worse. But I mean, I guess while we're on the topic of old guys and just presidential debates, I do got to say another reason on top of the many why I'm grateful that Biden dropped out is if there would have been a debate during this whole like rumor mill process of the eating cats and dogs thing with Joe Biden, I do not trust that Joe Biden would have the restraint to say, no, that's wrong. And I feel like instead he would get on there and be like, yeah, Jack. And that's why I tried to shut down the border, but your people wouldn't let us. And I'm just glad we missed that moment.
A critic of that might say like, oh, well, Joe Biden, I think they just did like the correspondence dinner or some similar function. And he had like a decent answer where he said, Haitian immigrants should not be demonized in this way. He had a few lines about Trump needs to stop doing this, but admittedly good. But like you said, I don't trust him on the fly to be able to defend Haitian immigrants.
Well, especially because he couldn't in the June debate. In the June debate, there was something that was brought up about immigrants, and Joe Biden said, yeah, immigrants are coming raping your daughters. Yes. Like, brother, that is not we are so beyond even the like counter messaging. We're just doing their thing for them. Oh my goodness.
Now I
gross.
Should mention that in terms of like practical effects, I think the Proud Boys were on the ground in Springfield, Ohio yesterday. Scary.
Really?
I think last week, towards the end of the week, some elementary schools were forced to close. They were either, I think it was bomb threats actually that forced the elementary schools and some other like public areas to close. Trump was asked if he denounced the bomb threats. He did not say he denounced them. He just said it's bad what's happening in Springfield, all these illegal immigrants taking over. So, we're like
insane.
We're like one step removed from it just being explicitly Nazi shit, but it's all the same, like beat for beat, functionally. It's the same type of language. So not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
Not great at all. It kind of echoes his statements on famously awful conservative figure. And Trump was asked about why he's sort of just hanging around with her so much. And he's like, I don't know. She's fine. She's got opinions. She does whatever. She's cool, I guess.
Laura Loomer.
And off the heels of her saying, Laura Loomer, off the heels of Laura Loomer saying something along the lines of, Kamala Harris will make the White House smell like curry. Or something just insanely racist.
Was great. And then she was like, Laura Loomer in her tweets was like trying to do a black accent, but like write it out. Like,
no way.
Like intentionally trying to be racist. It was crazy. She's
insane. Awesome. Canada is sending their worst.
She's Canadian? She's Canadian?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I think so.
I should have known the way she acts. Holy shit. Not a real American. No, before moving on from the Haitian immigrant story, I do want to read some tweets. There were there was a lot of moments on Twitter. Anytime there's a debate, people make up some really funny stuff and put it on the timeline, and I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that.
Yes.
But in response to this Haitian immigrant story, there were two people specifically that dropped some tweets that I thought were funny, but not because they were trying to be funny. I think they're just cringy. This first one is from Tommy Lauren. Conservative commentator, longtime woman on the right type figure. And she said, controversial or not, Trump is winning this week with his viral debate line about eating the dogs and eating the cats. 1, the memes are everywhere on social media. 2, whether migrants are eating pets or not, seems like an admission. The conversation about Kamala and Joe importing the third world into small Midwest towns is now ignited and not acknowledged. And 3, over immigration is a winning issue for Trump, and he made it the conversation of the week.
I don't think that's how that works. I don't think that's how any of that works at all. This has been the one story I feel like, come out of politics that has been just explicitly just memed to hell. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody is making fun of that statement. I have not seen a single thing in support of it. I've even gone on fucking r/conservative, and a lot of those freaks aren't even defending it.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of those freaks are using this as an instance to be like, oh, I wish Trump and JD Vance didn't focus on these fringe issues and instead focused on the meat of why we shouldn't like immigrants. Like, come on. Even they're recognizing it's weird.
Why can't Trump do scientific racism? He has to do this
Nazi
shit. But I
if
think
he just talked about IQ.
I think the dead giveaway here is she says in number 2, whether migrants are eating pets or not. It doesn't matter to them. It's all just a narrative. It doesn't matter if the story is true or not. What matters is that they can demonize immigrants to make their political program a bit more, acceptable or tolerable to the median voter that might be skeptical about voting for Trump. It's a dead giveaway. And I also, like you said, I don't think this is a good issue for Trump to go viral on. I think people are making fun of him pretty explicitly.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. And it's like, people in the Midwest are not now using this to talk about other issues with immigrants. They're just talking about this and how insane it is.
Yeah. Now, the last tweet I got here is from Marianne Williamson. Did you see this one?
Oh, Yes, former candidate for president.
Former Democratic candidate for president.
Former Democratic candidate for president.
This is Marianne Williamson after the debate, when basically everyone on Twitter is talking about the whole Haitians eating cats thing. She said, quote, "Continuing to dump on Trump because of the eating cats issue will create blowback on November 5th. Haitian voodoo is in fact real, and to dismiss the story out of hand rather than listen to the citizens of Springfield, Ohio, confirms in the minds of many voters the stereotype of Democrats as smug elite jerks who think they're too smart to listen to anyone outside their own silo."
This is like, oh God, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like liberal woman discovers like spirituality and now she's racist.
And
you
now
know
she's a
what I mean?
Nazi. Yeah, that's crazy.
Now she's a Nazi. It's a crazy pipeline, but it happens. It's real. Rich, out of touch liberal woman discovers spirituality and now they have crazy opinions. Like, that is a nutty thing to say and then call other people out of touch for.
My personal theory here is that Marianne Williamson was at one point like personally wronged by a Haitian person and then just developed some insane biases towards them.
Gotta be, man. Oh my goodness.
She like seems progressive, or at least rhetorically is progressive on like every other issue. And then she says Haitian voodoo is in fact real. How do you drop that as a quote unquote progressive? That's crazy.
People were saying to vote for her.
Yeah.
In the primaries.
Yeah.
I think she also had scandals about just abusing her campaign staff as well that were going on. So that's one thing. But not a good look for her.
I heard she's in some pretty big debt, like campaign debt right now. So maybe she got like a conservative check to tweet about Haitians in that way. Maybe like some Republican PAC reached out and is like, "Hey, can you stoke the flames of our race war?" And then she did it.
Love that. Love that. Oh my goodness. It's like how Shank from TYT wrote this one article just talking about how Josh Shapiro is the real like guy that should be VP, and that Big Money doesn't like him because, I don't know, he did some regular thing. You know what I mean? It's like these guys who ran for president in the primaries, like from the left, seem to be coming out as pretty weird.
It's got to be a money thing, or maybe just
got to be a money thing.
Moving on from that, unless you got anything else on the Haitians eating cats and dogs, fake story.
Nothing else on the Haitians eating cats and dogs, but I do got to say, Laura Loomer was born here in America, unfortunately. I looked it up because I'd seen some stuff this week that she was Canadian, and I guess the copium got to me.
You're like, that has to be true.
The copium got to me. I said, it has to be true. It really does, and I really want to be true, but alas, I was wrong. She's one of us.
Laura Loomer's crazy, dog. She's awesome.
Oh my God, I know.
So during the debate, Trump also had an answer on abortion that I thought was notable. Part of that answer was, quote, "For 52 years, they've been trying to get rid of Roe versus Wade. For 52 years, they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it, and the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices." That moment stood out to me as like,
statement.
Yeah, wild. Why is he giving credit to the Supreme Court?
Like, one, we as the Republicans should not be bringing up abortion. That is not we as the Republicans, but the Republicans in general should not be bringing up abortion. That is the one thing that the tides are just not in their favor. Far away from being in their favor. And 2, nobody likes the Supreme Court right now.
Nope.
We should not be invoking the Supreme Court as just this good thing, this boon to the country that Trump gave us. And he also, I don't know if it was in this statement or another statement he made about the court, he said, "I appointed 3 justices that were instrumental in doing this."
Yep. What are you doing?
You're making it easy. Oh my God.
Yeah. The ad almost makes itself on that one. And it's so funny to see. It's so funny to see that he's still pushing this idea that everybody wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. It's just on its face blatantly false, because like obviously people didn't want that. People are mad about it right now. It's like 70% of the country didn't want that to happen. But it's also funny to see him just taking full responsibility for it. He's like, yeah, I did that, and also everyone wanted it.
He himself at the debate brought up the fact that abortion has not once lost on the ballot in any state, red state or blue. And he's like, "Well, I pushed it back to the states. That's what it was. That's what happened."
Yeah,
and then he wouldn't commit to not signing a national abortion ban.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All around, really bad moment for Trump on the abortion issue. But yeah, it was funny to see him go like Kansas and Montana, I think, or Missouri. Like you were like, yeah, the outcome was more liberal than I wanted it to be, but it's okay.
It's okay because we got it back to the states, and nobody wanted it at the federal level, and I'm the one who took it away.
Some other interesting moments, I think, from Trump. One kind of throwaway line was when he was like, he had his "excuse me, I'm talking" moment. I guess everyone's a liberal now. That shit. Very, very liberal coded. It was at the time when Kamala Harris did it, but it works because she's a liberal. Trump is
exactly
not.
Yeah. He did it twice too.
Yeah, he said "sound familiar." That was good. And then Trump also had a moment. He was asked about his healthcare plan and getting rid of Obamacare, and he was going on this long rambling answer. Then at the end, one of the moderators said, "Okay, but do you have a plan? Like, what are you going to do?" And he said, "I have the concepts of a plan." So that was pretty good.
That was pretty good. He said, "I have the concepts of the plan. I'm not the president yet. I'm not the president yet." But that part in particular is really funny to me because this same thing happened at the 2020 debates when he was, in fact, the president. That was a big sticking point of, I think, the third debate, the fact that he wanted to get rid of the ACA. He was actively trying to get rid of the ACA. I think the Supreme Court had come out with a SCOTUS decision that kind of took away a part of it at the very least. And he was asked, how do you plan on replacing this thing that thousands of Americans have relied on to bring their healthcare costs down and have healthcare in the first place? And he said, I have a plan, but I won't tell you until you elect me. I won't tell you until you elect me, but there is a plan. And now there's no plan? Come on, man. It couldn't have been more obvious.
He's been on this shit. I think he did that in 2016 too, but it was a lot less blatant. Basically just saying like, we're going to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with something better. But then he never articulates what that is because there's no real plan. Like, it's good. You almost got to appreciate it. You almost got to appreciate it.
I got to respect the game.
Yeah.
And for him, he's still like this close in the polls. Game is game.
Yeah.
Game is game.
Do you have any other funny moments that I'm missing here? I think those are the major ones.
I don't think so. I think that's everything that really stood out. And I mean, that was kind of the whole debate.
Yeah.
Right? Like after he brought up the cats and dogs and Venezuelan gangs taking over apartments in Colorado, just online fake stories.
Yeah.
He goes on and he keeps circling back to him every single time.
Yeah.
There wasn't like any policy going on. So those were the moments from the debate, let me tell you. And I'm so glad they weren't put on Kamala.
Yeah, Kamala Harris had a bunch of good moments too. She baited him on his crowd sizes. She baited him on abortion. She baited him on tons of different issues. And I think it worked out for her. She clearly had a plan going in. And I'm glad to see that she had not a debate. She had an interview maybe a day or two after the debate where I thought it was kind of boring. It seems to me like Kamala Harris is much better at debating than she is interviewing. It seems like when she has a person to argue against, she does a lot better. So maybe she's just a bad interviewer, but I was glad to see that she could lock in and get the job done because I think she did well, even though her answers on things like Israel and immigration and stuff were not great.
And just the prevailing narrative leaving the debate, because again, the debate's not what matters; it's the narratives that come out, is not one that's not in her favor. So it was good in my book. So beyond my expectations, she stayed on message. It was good. Good job.
It was good.
Good job.
And now, rather than accepting that Trump is completely washed, a lot of people on the right wing have blamed the moderators for Trump's performance. Of course, playing to the refs is a tried and true strategy. The moderators fact-checked Trump maybe 2 or 3 times. When they did, it was for like egregious lies, and the right still said that the moderators were biased. One was for the Haitian immigrants thing, where what's bro's name? Daniel Muir? Is that his name? David Muir? David Muir. Yeah. He said that the Haitian immigrant story wasn't true. Once they jumped in when they said post-birth abortions aren't a thing that happens in the United States. There may be 1 or 2 other times that I'm not remembering. But if Republicans are mad about moderators during a debate, I think that means the Democrat won. I think that's what that means. Too. Yeah.
I think so too. And I've seen a lot of people complain that, they didn't fact check Kamala when she lies. They didn't even fact check Trump every time he lied. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Kamala isn't getting out here. What got Trump fact checked is making incredibly specific lies, like egregious and specific lies about specific groups of people or specific things, not general lies like, oh, inflation is doing fine now, or oh, inflation is super up under Biden, it's up in historic levels. They're not coming in and commenting on the nitty-gritty of these things. They're commenting on the facts that could spiral out of control to create other narratives.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly appropriate, their use of fact checking here.
Yeah, and no, it was like I appreciated the moderators because they didn't interject too much, because if they do interject, it will start looking bad. They did the bare minimum, and I thought that was leagues better than CNN. So much better. So much better.
Absolutely. ABC News on top.
And look, the right wing has been saying, okay, but they didn't fact check Kamala Harris. And I think the natural retort there is that she didn't lie as much, but let's say that she did, because they think that she lied just as much. Even if she did lie as much as we think Trump lied, it's still Donald Trump's job to call that out. I'll keep the smoke even here, right? We had smoke for Joe Biden for not being able to call out Donald Trump's lies. Donald Trump's got to be able to call out what they perceive as Kamala Harris's lies. And if he can't do it, tough shit. Get good or lose. I don't know what to say.
That's crazy. Learn how to debate.
Yeah.
Learn how to debate, man. Come on.
Like,
no, but it goes back to the idea that like moderators should not be there to fact check vague or broad statements. They should be there to correct the record on these specific and egregious things. And that's what they did.
Yes, absolutely.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and like the example of lies, similar to the Biden debate, is like Trump saying the Haitian immigrants thing, which he got fact checked on, and then Kamala Harris saying that we don't have any active duty soldiers in combat zones right now, which is technically untrue because we have some leftover troops in places like Bosnia, I think. In some places they are still like are still categorized as combat zones, even if there's not active fighting right now. So like it's these like things where technically, yeah, she's wrong. You could classify that as a lie. Far different than saying Haitians are eating dogs in Springfield, Ohio. It's just
literally
categorically different. Yeah.
The function of fact-checking claims like post-birth abortions and Haitian eating dogs is so that we are not wasting valuable debate time with the two presidential candidates talking about things that just are not based in reality, or things that people just should not really even believe at all. And the reason you don't fact check statements like the no active duty troops or whatnot, or statements on inflation or numbers with the economy or numbers on interest rates, is because the other candidate should be able to meaningfully engage with that with their own policy or retorts or vibes or whatever. Yeah. We shouldn't have to waste time on these things that are so obviously fake.
Yeah,
that's what that's about.
It would have been inappropriate for David Muir to say like, oh, no, actually Trump's tariffs won't do X, Y, and Z, because they're arguing about policy.
Yes.
But with the immigrants thing, with the immigrants thing, it's like, well, you're wrong. You're like egregiously wrong on the issue. We can't let you get away with it. Yeah.
There is no factual basis in this.
But look, like we said for Joe Biden, if you can't do the job, if you can't sell the narrative, get out of the way, and we should get a new candidate. Same thing for Donald Trump. If you can't do it, tough shit. You got to be able to do it. Man. That's all it is.
Man, I'm just not with the VP debate around the corner too. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah. I guess the last question to ask then is this going to matter? You think the debate matters at all?
Man, I had seen some I had seen some articles already just about how nothing really happened in the polls. So I guess not. I guess it didn't matter. I want to say it does, just because of the narratives that have come out of it, just because everybody's clowning Trump. But there's still like a year in election terms before people actually get out and vote.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's up to the clip industrial complex to make it matter at this point.
Yes.
Debates historically don't change anybody's mind, but maybe it can increase or decrease turnout. I guess we'll see. But yeah, praying for another one. I'm hoping we get another Kamala Harris Donald Trump debate. That'd be great.
Wow, too. And his cope was just crazy. His cope was so good. Yeah, so good.
He went on to the spin floor immediately after and started talking to reporters because he knew he lost. That was good. And we have some breaking HITO news right here, live on the show.
Live on the show?
Apparently Trump is at his golf course in Florida, and there were just shots fired. His campaign just put out a statement. I don't know exactly what happened here, but it seems like this is breaking news right now at the moment. So I hope everyone's okay. I do hope everyone is okay.
That's kind of insane. I condemn all acts of political violence.
Yeah.
let me get out of it.
Yeah, I condemn political violence. I think it's bad.
I condemn political violence. It should not happen to anyone.
Yeah.
Really.
So if this becomes
I
a
wonder
major
what
news
happened.
story, it seems like they said no further details at the time. It just sounds like gunshots in Trump's vicinity is what they said in their statement. So
At his Florida estate, like Mar-a-Lago.
he's at a golf course. Yeah, I guess he has a golf
He's at a
course,
golf
doesn't he?
course.
Billionaire. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if it's a situation where like someone breached a security perimeter or something like that, and the FBI, not the FBI, but or maybe the FBI Secret Service are just like twitchy, understandably, after what happened like 9 weeks ago. So hopefully everybody's all right.
But it's also like gunshots in Florida. You know, like it's Florida.
This is true.
So
This
who knows?
is true. Yeah.
Not enough details to make a conclusion here, but if this becomes a bigger news story later in the week when this episode drops, you'll know that we saw it right here on the show.
Exactly. And you'll know we'll be thinking about it.
Yeah.
And you'll hear about it on Sunday. This episode of Head in the Office is brought to you by headintheoffice.com.
If you head over to headintheoffice.com, you can support the show by getting in on our brand new merch drop.
And it's a pretty good merch drop, people.
We've got shirts available. We've got hats available. We got all kinds of stuff you can buy. And if you want to support the show and more importantly, rep the show, you can head over to headintheoffice.com and purchase some merch.
Go for it. We got dad caps that are green like money. We got stickers. We got magnets. We got basically anything you could possibly want.
And if you don't get in, I'll be upset.
Me too.
Back to the episode.
Moving on from the debate into some government shutdown news. You know, I said at the top of this episode, 2 October surprises that maybe have been alluded to already. The second one I'll talk about in a minute is the government shutdown. First one, though, Laura Loomer. She's already a reoccurring name on this show. And I want to be careful how I phrase this, because there's this thing that happens with women figures in politics where if they are suspected to be involved in an affair of any kind with a male politician, they are dragged through the mud regardless of what side they're on. Especially when it's like on the liberal side and Republicans are doing it to like Democrats, it's a lot worse because they are all misogynistic and they like to revel in that. But it can happen in the reverse too, right? Like if a conservative woman is seen as doing something promiscuous, men on the left can be pretty awful. And I don't want to frame it that way. I'm not going to shame Laura Loomer if she's getting in there. That being said, there's a lot of people theorizing right now that Laura Loomer and Trump are having some kind of affair. And again, I don't want to demonize her for, I don't want to be misogynistic in any way, but Laura Loomer is a demon. And all I'm going to say is if she's in there, go crazy, but you're going to get smoke for it. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know. Like, why does he want to hang out with her so bad? You know what I'm saying? He's been like on her, she's been on his jet like all week. He attended the 9/11 ceremony with him after tweeting about 9/11 trutherisms. Like, she is strictly a political liability for him at this point. Regular conservatives don't fuck with her. She's an internet conservative specializing in rage bait. Like, I don't understand.
Laura Loomer is known for, first of all, I think before Elon Musk purchased Twitter, she chained herself to the headquarters at Twitter because she got her account suspended. So that was a publicity stunt that she did.
Nice.
And then she was also more recently on Tim Pool's podcast arguing after Trump was got the felony charges. She was arguing for the death penalty for Democratic leaders that she suspects are involved in Trump being, politically persecuted. You know what I mean? So she's a demon. She's also
shameless grift.
She's also very racist. Laura Loomer's also right now in an argument with Marjorie Taylor Greene, where Marjorie Taylor Greene looks good. So it's bad. It's
about the Curry in the White House thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, yo, that's a little bit too far, don't you think? And when you don't have Jewish space lasers on your Jewish space lasers on your side, I think we've descended a bit too far, right?
Marjorie Taylor Greene harassed school shooting survivors, saying that they were actors. And she has an issue with Laura Loomer. If you lost Marjorie Taylor Greene, you've gone too far. You can't be redeemed at that point. And look,
God damn,
Laura Loomer is an absolute demon. I lump her in with this October surprise category because maybe we get more information ahead of the November election about Laura Loomer and her potential affair with Donald Trump. And I don't think it's that far off because Donald Trump is he's a serial cheater. You know what? Like that's what it does. It's who he is.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised. Right now she's sort of accusing people of libel and slander for even suggesting that they have some kind of relationship, but she's been around him so much recently, and the pictures are pretty like intimate looking that like I wouldn't be surprised. That it's not that much of a reach. So
I just like, why, brother? And it just, further update. I had to do some further investigation on why I thought she was Canadian. I got her wiki pulled up right now. She used to work for a Canadian far right website, the Rebel Media. Why is she around?
yeah, everyone's always talking about
Why is she around?
Russian election interference. What about Canadian election interference, huh?
Jesus Christ, man. Recruiting Americans and then just churning them out as worse than when they got them. And she used to work for Project Veritas too.
That's sick.
She's awful.
Yeah, Laura Loomer's a demon. She's very racist. It's I think we have license to clown on her. Everyone should clown on her. Just, keep in mind the whole misogyny thing. But that might be an October surprise that we get. We'll see.
She oh my God. Sorry. I'm just looking at her wiki right now. This shit is insane. On June 10th, 2017, she gave a speech to a crowd of anti-Sharia marchers in New York City, organized by ACT for America, and condemned liberals who aligned themselves with Sharia law. She put a burqa on the Fearless Girl statue at Bowling Green in Lower Manhattan. A few days later is when she left Project Veritas to join the Canadian far-right website, the Rebel Media.
No, yeah, she is,
brother.
She is like viciously
a political liability,
viciously anti-Muslim, viciously anti-black. It's actually insane. Yeah, like just blatantly racist. She's a horrible person.
That's crazy. She used to pose as a Hillary Clinton campaign staffer to try and entrap campaign workers into accepting illegal cash donations.
That's kind of sick.
That one's kind of sick, though. That's actually cool.
That's actually really funny. You almost got to respect the game there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just fucking moving on, people. That's what a girl. What a girl.
Our other October surprise, one that I think is a lot more likely, if not guaranteed to happen, is a government shutdown. So as I said, everyone is anxious to know what this election cycle's October surprise is going to be, but I think we are pretty safe in guessing that there will at least be some kind of attempt by the Republican Party to shut down the government in an attempt to make Kamala Harris look bad. A government shutdown is set to happen on October 1st unless funding is extended. October 1st, of course, is like 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away at this point. Yeah. And I don't think Republicans can help themselves and pass up a chance to make Democrats look bad. And I don't say this without reason, because Donald Trump has already tweeted out, quote, "If Republicans in the House and Senate don't get absolute assurances on election security," we'll get to that in a second, "they should in no way, shape, or form go forward with a continuing resolution on the budget, close it down." J.D. Vance had a similar statement where he was basically questioning why he should even vote to fund the government. It seems like this is something that they're going to do no matter what. They're going to shut down the government.
It's genuinely insane. It is crazy to me that, one, they even think of shit like this, and two, that shit like this works. And it only works because most Americans don't pay enough attention to politics that they can openly, clearly, publicly, on the record, say, "I am going to shut down the government to punish my political opponent who is currently in office."
Yep.
Not because of something they did, just because I want to win in November. Yeah. And it can actually help them win in November. Members of the American public will actually be able to attempt to pin this government shutdown on the Biden administration, and more accurately, attempt to pin it on Kamala as the vice president. Yeah. Clown world. Yeah, it's in my mind, it's not even an October surprise because it's basically guaranteed to happen. There's no way that they actually pass a budget before October 1st, because if they do, they miss an opportunity to say this is Kamala Harris's fault. And also, it seems like they're trying to get this like election security style bill through. Mike Johnson has been trying to follow Trump's lead on this, and he recently introduced a bill that included a budget resolution and also this other bill I think called the SAFE Act, which has some like voter ID requirements and different like proofs of citizenship in it. It's a nonsense like election integrity quote unquote bill. Yeah. And it seems like they're not going to be willing to pass the budget without it, which means government shutdown is going to happen.
It's almost guaranteed at this point.
I'm so fucking sick of bills with acronym names.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking sick of this legislative trend. Oh my God, man. SAFE Act, really. And oh my God, it is so disingenuous. This is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't believe Republicans are going to get away with this. It happens every time. It's got me going back in my mind and questioning. In 5th grade, I remember there was a government shutdown that my teachers were talking about as I was walking to the fucking computer lab. And now I'm wondering if that was Mitch McConnell's obstructionist fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It probably was.
They do this every time we've covered a government shutdown on the show. They're doing this.
Yes, every single time. The
last 3 years, every single government shutdown that maybe it happened once, I can't quite remember, but every government shutdown that happened or was threatened to happen was because of conservatives wanting to put something awful into a bill.
I think a government shutdown also happened when Kevin McCarthy got the boot because they couldn't pass a budget then because they didn't have a speaker. And if it's not a government shutdown, it's the Republicans threatening to not raise the debt ceiling so that the government defaults on their loans. Yeah. Every single time this happens. It's ridiculous. And they get away with it.
They get away with it every time because America, you just got to pay attention to politics. It's not that hard.
If you, dear listener, have any idea of what the October surprise might be this election cycle, let us know. Maybe we want to get a jump on it as much as you do. We want to know what's going on.
If we could call it in September, whew.
Yeah. Before we get on to geopolitical news, the last thing I would note is that Boeing, the airplane company, is now on strike. I don't have a full section on it, but their workers, they're either on strike or about to be on strike for a variety of reasons. Major reason is that executive compensation keeps going up while worker pay doesn't go up. We've heard this tune before many times. And also Boeing is, I think they've been operating in the red for a while, but more recently, they're known for their planes falling apart in the sky, and also allegedly killing 2 whistleblowers. So,
allegedly
yes,
killing whistleblowers. And I think they're also known for the astronauts being allegedly trapped in space, but they're not actually trapped up there, but they're kind of stuck up there. But we can't get them down, but they're not stuck. Yeah. And I think it's Boeing's fault. I can't quite remember, but I think they're attached to that one.
Yeah. So yeah.
Bad look.
Boeing potentially going on strike. They might be on strike already. I'll have to check that again. But if that becomes a bigger thing over the next several weeks, we'll continue to cover it. And I hope the workers get everything they want because that's who we are.
Yeah, not me personally. Me personally, I hope I stay in the good graces of Boeing and the people who make decisions over there. I hope they get whatever they want.
I love Boeing. I love and respect.
I love Boeing. I was at the airport last week and I was hoping that I was going to fly on a Boeing plane because I know they're so sturdily constructed. You know what I mean? And
I got respect for the masterfully crafted Boeing aircraft.
Yes.
They are
masterfully crafted, wonderfully fit vehicles. You know what I mean? These panels, you can't even tell where the seams are. Let me tell you. Oh my goodness.
When I get into a Boeing Airbus, I know it's going to be a joy. I respect it.
Absolutely. I know I'm going to have so much leg room and I'm so there in the sky. My goodness. But shit, while we're talking about planes, why don't we hop on the plane and take a trip over to any other country in the world, specifically the Middle East, to talk about some geopolitical updates. And guys, this week, I'm going to be singing the same tune that I've been singing the last couple of weeks, that there's no ceasefire update.
Do you remember when there was a Pentagon leaker that said a deal is imminent like 3 weeks ago?
Yes. They made the fucking Cairo task force to implement the deal because they thought it was just right on the horizon. This week, I couldn't even find news pretending that there was an update. Last week, I found a lot of news pretending that things were going on. I found a lot of articles that were just fluff, that were like, what is the Philadelphia corridor? What is going on here? What's with the major sticking points in the ceasefire? Yeah. Couldn't even fucking find that this week. There's nothing when it comes to that. The only thing that I really saw was Antony Blinken and whatever his equivalent is in the UK came out this week, and they released a joint statement saying that both the US and UK are committed to Israel's defense and the ceasefire efforts.
Excellent.
The same old, really. It's every single week this guy comes out and makes a statement like that. But I mean, while we're not too far removed from talking about the October surprise, there is escalating regional tension going on with a possible war between Israel and the Houthis.
Nice.
More info on that probably next week. I think there's a U.S. official that is in Israel right now with the goal of preparing for something like that. So that's tough. Maybe we'll get a September surprise instead of an October surprise, but I don't know.
I feel like another almost guaranteed October surprise is Netanyahu starts a broader war, and it looks bad for Harris. And like that sounds a little conspiratorial, but we know that Netanyahu at the very least, but I would guess the entire Israeli government would prefer a Trump presidency versus a Kamala Harris presidency, even if Kamala Harris is far too sympathetic to what the IDF has been doing. We know that they prefer Trump. And I'm pretty sure it was either a poll of the Israeli population or it was just like a favorability survey kind of thing. But they far preferred Trump over Kamala Harris. We know what
I know what you're talking about. I think it was something like Israeli people or Israeli government or something that prefer Trump more than we do. Or he has a higher favorability rating over here than he does here.
He's above water. He's above water over there.
I think that tells us all we need to know really about who they prefer. So that's not too outside the realm of possibility. But I guess outside of the sort of ordinary evil and ordinary tragedy that is going on in Gaza, there is one story this week that I wanted to highlight. And here's the headline. So, quote, months after bodies recovered, IDF says 3 hostages were killed as byproduct of strike. That's the headline right there. The strike in question was specifically aimed at a genuine Hamas target. It was the commander of some Hamas commander or whatnot. At the time, the IDF did not have reason to believe that hostages were in the area, and the investigation by the IDF revealed that these 3 hostages were most likely killed as a direct byproduct of the strike. And I mean, what else is there to say about this other than the fact that this is exactly what everyone has been warning about? This is exactly what the alarm bells have been ringing about. Even if they don't want to frame the conversation around the 40,000 people that are dying in Gaza and the thousands of people that will die and continue to live in desperate condition over there as this war rages on. It's the hostages. It's the reason. The hostages are one of the reasons why they can justify all the violence that they're doing. And as we've been talking about every week, they're not even helping them. If anything, they're hurting them. This is exactly what's wrong with pursuing violence rather than a diplomatic solution, is you run the risk every violent encounter you engage in of just hurting yourself in a way, and specifically hurting the people who were taken hostage.
Yeah, and it's like I can't say it enough. I condemn Hamas. I think Hamas is bad.
I do.
And again, if we... And this is what the IDF has been saying for a long time. Hamas uses human shields. If we know that, then why are we dropping bombs on them if we think there's going to be human shields there? Especially if it's the hostages that you're saying you're trying to get out. Like you're almost guaranteeing that you kill them. I'm not saying that Hamas is right to use human shields. I think it's a bad thing. I don't think they should do it. But if we recognize that that's what they're doing and we recognize they're a terror group, then there's better ways to deal with this. And the IDF is unwilling to do that. Because their goal isn't to get the hostages out; it's to kill as many people as possible. It seems rough.
It's ridiculous over there, and that's what the fuck is going on. There's also been just kind of a general ramping up of I guess violence and tension in the West Bank, like increased raids, increased stuff like that going on. A lot of civilians being killed in there as well. It's not just being contained in Gaza. So that's
I missed.
I wish Anthony Blinken did his job.
Yeah, I missed the news story last week, but I think wasn't there an American hostage that was killed by the IDF last week, and Biden basically said nothing?
By an IDF sniper, because I don't know, it was alleged that other protesters were throwing rocks, but I think there were more details that came out in the days after I recorded, I guess this last week, that was like, further investigations have said the IDF is lying about their story.
Yeah.
So
it's like,
what do you expect?
They're throwing rocks so you kill them? I mean, that's like a classic IDF story, though. But just to see basically no response from the State Department, just like, it happens.
The only thing we hear from them is just, we are committed to a ceasefire and also Israel's right to defend itself. And we will continually commit ourselves to Israel's right to defend itself. And honestly, at this point, I think that's the only thing we're going to hear until somehow, some way, a ceasefire actually comes through.
Yeah, maybe Kamala Harris can save us, but I'm doubtful. I'm not hopeful for that at all. Things are bad.
I guess outside of Kamala Harris's general like good debate performance, debate as a sport, if you will, I still really don't like the way that she's shifted rightward. I still don't like how her populism. She's not even really doing populism that well. She just has like three policies that she keeps talking about. It's not even like general like populism, and she spends most of her energy trying to court moderate right-wing voters.
Yep. I feel like it's less. I mean, yeah, it's like less populistic than what Joe Biden gave us in 2020, and that's a part of the debate that we didn't really talk about much. Is that like she did a good job. She was baiting Trump pretty well, but a lot of the stuff she has to say, on like actual policy positions is less progressive than Joe Biden was. Like the corporate tax rate, instead of, I think Biden wants 44%, she wants like 29% or something like that. She's not going as aggressive for like higher wages or union jobs and things like that, which is worrying because one, I'm in support of that, and two, that'll get you more voters. That stuff is popular. Yes, it's crazy.
And it's also like, it's been proven, it's been battle tested that the Joe Biden rhetoric worked. Like it's not like that stuff didn't. Not only did it not poll badly, but he won the election. And you're going against the same guy. All variables are the same, except for this. There's no reason we need to really change the policy. And I think there was the thing you tweeted earlier this week about how she was asked about student loan forgiveness and how she would pursue that avenue. And she basically said, I'm not.
Yeah, and she said, rather than doing like the student debt forgiveness populism or even just capitulating or placating and saying shit like, you know, I'll implement X, Y, and Z policy to get the cost of college down, she's just saying that she's going to remove what she calls unnecessary requirements on federal jobs to have a college degree, which like, yeah, okay, make it more accessible, but like that's going to affect like what, 10,000 jobs maybe some more, but at the same time, it's like just make getting a college degree easier. Well, what are we doing? Wipe some debt away. That's like a solution for everybody. It's
that is a drop in the bucket compared to what the actual problem is. Like, I'm sorry. And it's like, okay, you're going to remove the degree requirement. You're not going to direct hiring managers to not get the most qualified applicant. Just because the degree requirement isn't explicitly there doesn't mean that you're not going to have to compete against competition that has that degree requirement. There are going to be very few people applying for these federal jobs that are qualified to do these things without a degree. It's a non-solution.
Yeah, not to mention that, like, yeah, the federal government is a big employer, but most people work for private groups. Or, you know, nonprofits and other forms of public organizations. Most people do not work for the federal government. It's like not even a Band-Aid solution. It doesn't really make sense. Like, why can't we just do even if you know that it's not going to happen, do the populism because it works, and then at least try like Joe Biden did.
And it's also like, why stop trying?
Yeah,
I don't even think Joe Biden has stopped trying. Like, as much as I forget that he's president ever since he stepped down, I think that came out like 2-3 maybe a month ago, that was another avenue that he tried to take for student debt forgiveness, or another round of forgiveness that made it through for more people because he expanded it. We don't need to not do this anymore. Like, why don't we are in a unique position where we can just take the good and leave the bad. And
like we've been saying, blame it on the Supreme Court. Say like the Supreme Court is keeping our students in debt to the federal government, and I want to wipe that debt away. It's simple. It's so silly.
Blame it on the Supreme Court. Blame it on Republicans. Like, I don't know. It's like she's taking the wrong lessons away from Biden's candidacy. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, he did do some good things when he ran. He did win the election.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll continue to monitor as we keep a close eye on this election for this election cycle. And if you want to be among the first to hear our heavenly dulcet tones talk about the election, then you got to become a patron, because they all get the information first. They're never late. They're going to be hearing, as soon as we upload this at like 4 or 5 or whatever, they're going to be getting information about the gunshots heard outside of Trump's Florida golf course. You're not getting that till Wednesday. You're in the dark. What
exactly.
So if you want that information, and if you want to get early access to all of our content, you got to become a patron. And also, if you want to help pay my medical bills, become a patron.
That's right. Shit's expensive.
It is extraordinarily expensive, but I think it's time to end this episode off and thank the beautiful people that make it possible.
Yeah, it's time to give a special thanks to Caden Kraut, Lord Tyler Radiant, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Dylan B, Andrew Harris, Mike Chaplin, Thaddeus T, Omar Zuno, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Toro, Dari, Gavin Mayer, Maldonado, Hunter W, Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Jeff Muzzy, Bagel Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cutsbury, Yuck, Jennifer DeVoe, Big Bird, Teddy Crawfish, and Bennett Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Nietzsche, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Two-Headed Boy, Ben Shapiro's boyfriend, Ted Cruz's boy toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Science, Aaron and his Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Tailored for Content, Corey Chambers, L.E.N., Devin Hatchard, Retro Mondo, Emma the Dude Slayer, Veronica, aka V, Raxon, Ash Smith, The Grotler, Flower Clown, Beetlebugs, Murder in a Trench Coat, Lonnie Rogers, Slavic and Sapphic, Casey Lynn Kelly, Snake Eyes, and Hope of Giants, aka Ghana, Quana Don,
Zach Lantian, Info Russell, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cammy, Tylen Freeman, Steak Daddy, Tay Tay, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C., Kayla Lowe, Anna Volinick, KCC, Say Yes to Wes, August, Particular Pikmin, Sir Capalot, Jeff Signs, Howard the Duck, Brennan is Egg, JR, Drew Batchilder, Froggy Gumdrop, Zen doing their best, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, Sasha, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000, Jared Finch, Tactical Snowflake, Son of Ander, Vanilla Bryce, Chris T, Kishan Lala, Amanda R, Hanky Panky, Tyler J, Damian Blues, Ashley White, Dick Cheney and 3-inch Heels, Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris.
Very true.
Lalo Valesco, Particulon and Memfrez, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Lauren, Uncrasomatic Boar, Sasquatch, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, Patrick Simpson, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Dialectic Dreamer, Kevin Kisaya, Schnoodle, Booty Snakes, Erica, Krusty Krab, Dewfairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fitta Hussein, Brooklyn G, Novirk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Addie Book, Merlin, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you. Did you get through that whole list last week on your own?
I did.
That's
I did
crazy.
Get through that whole list. What can I say? A true soul. That cough on last week's episode, I thought it was just what's going on. Little did I know. Little did I know.
Bro got on a Boeing aircraft and then happened to contract COVID. No fault of Boeing, though. No fault of Boeing.
No fault of Boeing at all whatsoever. If anything, O'Hare.
Now, I hope next week we should be back into the studio as normal. So hopefully audio quality on this episode is tolerable. Hopefully it's not too bad.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's always good to change it up every once in a while. You know, you can appreciate what is regular when there's a shakeup.
That's right.
That's all I'll say on that one.
And you could quote him on that. That's a beautiful thing to say.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Have a great week, everybody.